definitely a different moment because like I had my daughter was born in COVID, like the lockdown happened right
March
after she was
2020.
born. Right, so she was born in March.
Okay.
She was born March
I said
11th.
13. Ooh,
March 11th.
2 days before me.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's dope.
that was
That's
right. That
dope.
was right then.
And I mean, it was right before like I still could have people come into the hospital and see her. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like right after that lockdown, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I just think that infancy stage, and as the dad, I'm the one going out and doing all of the shopping, and you know what I mean? Because I don't know how we sit there and even rationalize that in our mind, like, well, I'll go do it. You know what I mean? Because if I get sick and come home, it's still the same result as if she got sick and come home. You know what I mean? But I don't know. There's something about that. You know,
Feel
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'll take whatever the risk is. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a different time. And then I'm like I say that suicide piece, trying to see exactly if there was a way that we can kind of connect that to where we are now. COVID played it was a
Intricate
big
part.
it was a big thing.
See, my daughter was born in COVID because she was born 9/22. So we couldn't have any visitors or nothing to come up there. It was just me and my girl up there. Her parents, nobody could come up there. So it was different. You know, it was real different.
No, that's tough. That's tough. I'll say welcome back to the To Be Fair show. I'm your host, Jonny P.
Ole Head Rell.
It's Khue.
And we back.
Yes, sir.
Today we got a special guest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One of my favorite rappers in the city.
Oh, man.
Bruh definitely been doing it for a while. When I
Minute,
first,
yes, sir.
got in the city and tapped into, the local creatives, he was one of the ones I seen, out here making moves. And so I'm honored to have bro here today. We definitely got Dee Dray in the building.
Yes,
Man, I'm
sir.
honored. I appreciate being here.
When you
man.
say
I'm
Dee
honored.
Dray, by the way?
Dee Dray, by the way.
Dee Dray, by the
what you
way.
say. Yes, Lord.
So I guess give us a little bit of a background to you. I know he did a great job introducing you, but who is Dee Dray the person before we get into Dee Dray the father?
Dee Dray the person from Buffalo, New York, born and raised. Been in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the second home since '02. Came down here to go to John C. Smith University.
Okay.
Graduated from there.
What was your major?
Physical and health education. So, I used to teach for a while, but also focus in community health. So I've done everything from substance abuse counseling and prevention specialist to, running YMCAs and community service. Community centers and things like that. So, I done did a lot.
A man of the community.
About me, frat boy. Shout out to the members of Kappa Alpha Psi. Pastor's kid. I see you throwing up that alpha, man. My brother drummer over there at Khue, so we got three of us in here at the Divine Nine. Pastor's kid. What else, man? As you said, a father. Just a creative, innovator.
For sure.
Well, I'll say we got a few questions lined up. I was gonna say the first question I really wanted to get in. I seen you was on another pod earlier this week, and there was some miscommunication about. I guess you said you was a single father, and then you came back and you clarified it, and I got it. But I guess it just got into my question was as far as just dealing with that dynamic, as far as having kids and then having your girl and then having a kid with that and like the multiple, the different situations and how people, how you balance it. And that's something we, really want to hop into,
Okay, definitely. And, first and foremost, I never really wanted to have multiple families, that was, I like to consider myself a statistic breaker. Never been to jail, graduated college, do everything that they say black men don't do. Right. So I never really wanted to have that, but that's just how life happened. But when I said I was a single father, it means because me and my current girl, we don't live together, So when I do have my sons, I get my sons bi-weekly for a full week. Every other week, they with me the whole week from Sunday to Sunday. So, when she's there with us. But sometimes she's not there, and it's just me and my boys. Sometimes it's just me, my boys, and my daughter. So, I take on that single father stigma, if you will. But my girl, Alicia Baby, she definitely there holding me down, riding with me. Even when I got to go to work or go perform or go do some things, she'll watch all of the kids for me and hold it down. But, a lot of times I do feel somewhat as a single father when it's just me and the boys.
Yeah.
But not a single father, and I had to make that correction.
Oh yeah,
man.
no,
Just
I get that. I mean, I imagine it was
happy
some
wife, happy life.
No, that's
Even though she's not my wife, but if I was
I
saying, man,
imagine
man, that
coming
bond is
home.
a wife, not a girlfriend. So
Right.
she already my wife. You did. So,
Oh yeah,
no,
no, I
that's
get
not.
that. I imagine coming home. That's you got to make sure that home front.
yeah.
You got to hold that down. But
That's a place of peace and tranquility. You
That's-
don't want
it
to
gotta
ruffle
be.
no feathers.
yeah, you don't want no violence there.
No smoke. No smoke.
Well, I just had one more about. I guess you kind of got into it, but we just trying to, like what do you do as far as to balance? Because you talked about, working. We know you're creative. We know you got, the backstages of fatherhood, everything going on. So how do you, make time for yourself, make time for your kids, your girl? What's that balance look like for you?
That balance is just figuring it out day by day, minute by minute, second by second. It's really not a particular plan or sent down, but it's just what Khue said about me even posting on social media, just being conscientious about that decision, making sure that I'm intentionally setting time aside for the kids, for her, making sure that we're doing date night, just me and her away from the kids, making sure that, I'm taking my kids to Frankie's or Sky Zone or even just going outside to the park or the playground and things like that, being intentional about everything I do, very meticulous. So that's the most important thing. It's like the old saying say, you make time for what you want to make time for.
Okay.
So, being a father is something I love. So I definitely make sure I make time for doing that, whether it's for Christmas buying my kids pianos, drums, and guitars.
For sure.
Because that's something I love, music. And when I saw that they took an interest in it, I went ahead and got that for them. So now that could just create another bond for us to build upon and, get them into their creative aspects.
That's dope.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure.
So I guess going along with that, do you ever find, because I think, again, the work-life balance when it comes to wearing multiple hats is very hard. And even when being intentional about it, a lot of times you can still lose yourself a little bit
Sure.
inside like all the different hats. Do you ever find yourself getting lost in all the different hats, and then sometimes you're like, damn, I ain't make time for Dee Dray.
Oh man, all the time. And I think that's one of the most important things that we have to make sure that we do make time for, because a lot of times we pour ourselves into others and we forget to refill ourselves. And that's where that mental health comes in that we were just talking about prior to the show, because we didn't take time and set aside for ourselves to re-energize, rejuvenate, because we constantly pouring into other people's lives. Like even right now, I coach middle school basketball again, because you asked me earlier what was my degree in physical and health education. I went back to coaching middle school, Cochran Middle School, as an assistant coach with my frat bro.
Hey, I just want to say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
JMA basketball team would smack Cochran. Middle school. That's all I'm saying.
What's JMA?
JM Alexander. Shout out to
we don't play
QJ
y'all.
in the squad.
We don't play y'all.
It's different districts, I know.
But let me
I
tell
just
you.
wanted to talk a little shit.
But no, it's all good. And that's one of the things I wanted to commend you on too, because we go back to opening up for Malik Youssef. Shout out to Big Bro.
Oh yeah,
and that's when I first really got hip to your whole wave, and I was a fan ever since. So even being on here, it was an honor and a privilege for me, because I'm a fan of all y'all. As me and Rell did poetry versus hip hop, and I've been following Jonny for some years now. So it was just an honor, and even seeing your transition. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Seeing how you so into your son's basketball career, I love it. It's just inspirational and motivational for other fathers out there. So I commend you for that and encourage you to just keep going. But with that being said, I doubt that. Just to shout out a couple of my players, I got a boy named Cannon. He actually from Buffalo. His mom, he's 6'6".
Okay.
He looked over there at you instead.
Yeah.
Oh no, look, we got some 6'2" over there. But you could
But
be
that's
6'6".
not 6'6". He's 6'6", 8th
6'6"
grade.
uncoordinated. They be like this. They do that with the ball.
Nah, he's a work in progress, but last game he had 12 and 14. We won like 43-19 against Albemarle Road. And we got a point guard named Reno, 6'2". He had 18, 10, 10, and 4. So,
So, they don't stop them games, like, you know what I mean?
No. You can win by as many as you want.
No, we had to stop the press, I told my team, fall back, no more pressing, because we was pressing. But we got a pretty big lineup. But, even with that, you got to find time to just get back to your initial question. You got to find that time to make sure, you pour back into yourself so you can continue to pour into others. That's one of the reasons why I even started personally going to therapy. Shout out to my therapist, Mr. Bacon. I started going to therapy just to become a better me. Started doing more meditations, praying more, just to make sure that I'm in the right spirit to be that father that I need to be that man I need to be for my family, etc. So, and it's still a work in progress. I'm not perfect. None of us are. But it's as long as you making a conscientious effort to, become better. That's what it's really all about, in my opinion.
So I just wanted to piggyback off of, it was another question that Johnny had that I'd love to get your feedback on. Y'all, you kind of started off speaking about the co-parent dynamic. So would you mind, I guess, like going through a little bit of your co-parenting journey? Because I think that most fathers that have a co-parenting situation is a journey in itself. And figuring out what those dynamics look like, X, Y, and Z, and how it develops over the years. So yeah, I'd love to hear kind of like your co-parent journey as it's kind of like developed.
And it's still a work in progress. But one of the great things, and I commend both my children's mother because they really don't cause me drama. I really don't have too much baby mama drama.
Yeah.
We have our little hiccups and bumps in the road because that's just natural.
Yeah.
But as far as the real drama, it's none. My son's mother, she allows me to get my boys, like I said, every other week. No court system involved, nothing like that. When they with me, they with me. We still communicate, make sure we have parent-teacher conferences. So it's really not any hiccups or things. Yeah, we can work on the communication to make sure that our sons are always in better position. But at the end of the day, we know the focal point is really about them. And my oldest son, he's on the spectrum for autism. So, that's a little different as well. But it's still a journey. And we still learning how to do it because it's brand new to both of us. It's not something that, either of us really planned. Even with my daughter's mother, we together right now, but not under the same house. But I get my daughter all of the time. I'm over there, they're over at my house. So it's just a continual journey. But nothing like the horror stories that I really hear. And that's one of the great things about it. I don't have to deal with that too much.
No, for sure.
And that's dope. That's dope, man. And what I love to hear is like the vulnerability of, like, you know what I mean? There's no need in trying to, because what we do a lot of the time in the space we in, especially like social media and all of this, we compare each other's journey. And so what we want to do is try to make our journey seem like it's like butterflies and rainbows and shit. And I think that has a lot to do with, as we were talking about, the mental health space that we're in, is that we're all comparing to each other's highlight reel.
Exactly.
And in that right there, just in that comparison, you're trying to compare yourself to the idea of perfection, which is detrimental to your mental health, especially when you, like you say, as a father, you know what I mean, doing the 40 hours, you know what I mean, spending as much time as you can with your kids, doing what you can to try to make the relationship stable, you know what I mean, and then let alone trying to get your own little bit of time to actually make sure that you're okay. And I think that that's something that, like, for me, you know what I mean, in my journey, I got to a point where I had lost that. You know what I mean? That me portion where I was like making sure that I was okay. Because it's supernatural for, well, not supernatural. It is very natural for you to, as a man, feel like everybody is your responsibility. And then as you continue to add those responsibilities on, it just continues to push you lower and lower on the rankings. And so, like, I got to a point to where I hadn't really, you know what I mean, thought too much about myself and what, you know what I mean? And then what I realized is that there's a vice that when I do have this little inkling of time, I feel that with a vice. You know what I mean? So, like, it's good to hear, like, the experience and, you know what I mean, the vulnerability that comes from this journey that we're all on. You know what I mean? And
definitely. And I think even just to go back to something that we was talking about off camera, what was I riding to when I was coming over here? And I said I was just listening to God and nature. That's the time that I find me. That, sometimes we have to, again, intentionally find time for ourselves. So a lot of times when I'm in the car and I'm just driving to different destinations, I'm not listening to anything because you know y'all you fathers. So when you around your kids, it's constantly daddy, 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 and you know your wife, your girlfriend, whoever. Hey, babe, do this, do that, do that.
Yeah.
So again, you start putting yourself lower on the totem pole, and it's easy to get lost. I can't remember who said it, but they said only women and children get unconditional love.
Yep.
Men get love off of what they can provide and what they bring to the table.
You know where you can get it from though, and I said, now I've been saying this a lot lately, and I'm not trying to. I think that adolescent children give you unconditional love, and dogs as well.
Moms too.
Moms too.
'Cause I'm a mom's
Mom
boy.
Dukes, yeah.
Moms too. Moms too.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, Mom
Moms
Dukes, but outside of that though, it's slim.
Yeah, it's very slim.
It's
Very
dark.
slim.
Like, woman, it's dark out here.
It's dog. You know what I mean? And that's why I think that this is so dope. Like we have to continuously connect the brothers. We need each other in this moment in time right here. We need each other more than you know what I mean, more than ever. And then I love to see like just to be in rooms where it's like, okay, he's a black father. He's doomed. You know what I mean? He's a black father. And we're all like connected. We're all connected. I think that we need to build on those connections because it's a lot of power in it.
Definitely.
It's a lot of
And that
power.
goes back to one of my favorite scriptures, period. Behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. You gotta have these moments together where we in unity, we like minded, and we just able to have that round table meeting. Even Jay-Z said, I hold round table meetings so we can discuss not just the money, but all the emotion running through us, you know, and we got to have those moments just where we can depend on each other and be honest and transparent. Oh, yeah. It's definitely a Jay-Z bar for
Jay-Z bar
everything.
For everything.
For everything. That's why I don't understand how people can say they don't feel Jay. But that's another conversation for another day, another topic. But definitely a Jay-Z bar for everything. But you got to have these type of moments where you can just be honest and transparent because, you know, a lot of times other people won't really understand what you're going through unless they in your shoes. You know, it's hard out here being a man, but it's definitely harder out here being a black man because there's so many other pitfalls and, you know, things that set up against us, waiting for us to fail. Like I said in the beginning, just that stereotypical type of things. I wanted to be a statistic breaker. So, you know, it's always a pleasure to be amongst those people like-minded.
No, that's
So I appreciate y'all again for having me, for real.
no. We appreciate you for pulling up, and
sure.
and like you said, that's you know, like you said, that's a big one as far as like the fellowship. You know, I think that's something that we try to focus here on the show. That's a big thing for us, and it's helped. You know, it's definitely over the years that we came from the port to Be Fair, and you know, I think it's helped me as far as my journey, helping me find myself. So it's definitely. You know, something that I always will, pour back into.
Definitely.
But I had one other question. I don't know if they got anything else. But
I probably got one more.
Yeah.
We gotta go into like an open dialogue.
Yeah, but my question was, and I've chopped it up with Ray about this. But as far as I know, you got sons and then a daughter. Do you find yourself like in the raising? Do you raise your sons any differently than you raise your daughters? Have you noticed any changes?
Yes. I'm a little harder on my boys, I would say, but I'm still a soft parent. I'll be honest. I give them all anything I can. My father was in my life, and I even have a bar that say, when I die, just know I tried to be the best father alive, at least better than mine, because he was the best in my eyes. And they say things only keep getting better with time. So, I want to be better than him, and every generation should be better than the one before him. Sure. But with my daughter, she can cry, and I'm like, just give it to her. What you want? Go, man, give her whatever she wants. And it really changed me. I was pretty much the same way with my boys, but and I found myself being, a little bit lenient and more patient with my older son, especially just because of his, dynamics and differences. But with my daughter, it's definitely a difference. And just a quick little story too. I'm not really ready. I'm old fashioned and traditional, I guess. So I'm not, and being in the school system, I've seen a lot of different things with like the girls, they come to school and, being a guy, you even growing up, you see girls, you have your ideas growing up and things like that. And I came back for New Year's, and my daughter was with my girl's sister and mother, and I came back and her nails was painted. And I'm like, she 2. I'm like,
Oh, we
yo,
right in the same boat.
I'm
But I was just about to ask that question. How old is she?
yeah, she 2, and I'm like, yeah, because you told me your daughter was born in March, mine was born September, so
Yeah,
not too
yeah.
far off, all COVID babies almost. So I'm like, yo, babe, you told them that was okay? And she like, nah. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Why? Like,
I can't even fraud. I actually went and me and my daughter, I went and got my nails. I didn't get no paint or nothing, but I sat and got my feet done, my nails done. I did that one time with the right, and then I had to sit and think. I was like, and I had women telling me like, yeah, whatever if you do it, just keep doing it, make it a consistent thing, and on the same day every, you know what I mean, and, you know what I mean, so she can have an expectation for it. And when I got to thinking after I did it, I started to think like, okay, so let me make sure that whatever the end result of this is, me doing this, I want that to be the, you know what I mean? That I want to be I want to be intentional with doing this because there is a dynamic that comes with it. There's an expectation that comes with it from men in general. I would assume, like, or I would assume. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I haven't thought this thing all the way through, so I'm going to sit back on this one. And we started doing something else instead.
okay.
You know what I mean? And let me ask you this, because
Real quick, before you ask that question, if you don't mind. See, I go with my girl all the time, well, a lot often, just to get our feet and hands and nails done, petties and manis. That's just a relaxation for us to bond as well, just me and her. But with my daughter, I was just like, she had went in the room one day and my girl had put lipstick on her and she came out and I heard her in the room like, oh, so pretty. And she came out to me and I was like, I don't like it. She was like, Dad, look. And I was like, I don't like it. And she started crying, and I felt bad.
yeah.
And my girl was like,
Damn.
"You such an asshole. Just say it's pretty." And I'm like, "Well, no, I don't want her thinking she
I feel
has
the
to put
same
on
way.
makeup."
be
Because I
pretty.
see these little 7th graders, 6th graders, 8th graders coming to school, and it's a lot of pedophilia out here. And people preying on children, which I think is terrible.
Yes,
And they're
absolutely.
making it more and more, in my opinion, a natural and normal thing. And that's just something I will never get.
No, that is.
I think it's sick, but that's just my personal opinion. But I just don't want my daughter to feel like she needs that to make her beautiful. Like you see all of these girls nowadays with BBLs and getting all this work done, all these long nails and makeup and things like that. I don't want her to feel like that defines beauty. You beautiful without it.
And something that's scary
That's
too
facts. That's
is how fast the kids are going. And I'm specifically with
Exactly.
the girls. They're growing up much faster, and that's what's scary about it for me. Like my wife was like, "Oh, so we're gonna go and get her ears pierced." I'm like, man, let's just hold off on that too. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want. I want her to maintain the innocence as long as she can.
Well, I ain't gonna lie, I did get her ears pierced, and I was
Yeah.
pro for ears pierced because a lot of times that. To me, that just separates boys from girls. And,
Gotcha.
when my boys get a little older, I got my ears pierced. But when my boys get a little older, if they want to do it, then that's fine, too. But growing up, I wasn't allowed to. My dad wouldn't allow me to do it. But then AI came along. And I told you my daddy a pastor. So, he's very traditional, apostolic Pentecostal. So, and I play drums. So I was playing drums for church, too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I play piano by ear, play drums. I went to
a PK.
I went to a performing arts middle school and high school where I sung opera and did a whole bunch of different things. Been in operas like Labo Wem and
Damn, that's dope.
sang with the Buffalo
dope as shit.
Philharmonics, a bunch of different things like that. But when I first got my ears pierced, I had braids as well. My mom was like, "Oh, you out here looking like a little girl." I had 4 daughters, not 5. And my dad,
Damn.
he actually wouldn't even let me play drums in church anymore. He sat me down just because I had my ears pierced and had my hair braided, and that was not what the Bible. It wasn't acceptable. But then, few years after, my nephew came right behind me, my little cousin came right behind me, and they had their ears pierced, hair braided. My dad was letting them play, and I paved the way for him to be able to do that. But yeah,
Was that
And I have my bad. Go ahead.
Oh nah, I want to ask something about that, but I don't want to get off subject.
Yeah, because I did cut you off
I'll
with your
let- I'll let
question,
you
so
go.
my bad.
I'll let you
I
go.
wanted to ask him because there was we talked about the son daughter dynamic, and you were saying like the question was, do you kind of, is there a difference between your approach to both?
Definitely.
Do you believe, and this is something that do you believe that that should be the case, that we should raise our sons different than we raise our daughters?
I think raising them differently is natural. And the reason why I say that is because they're going to face different challenges and situation in life.
Absolutely.
So therefore, with my daughter, I want her to know. I seen one of my guys. I call him Moose, but his name Kenny from I'm Living B. He takes his daughter to Disney World, out of the country and other places, and his post said, "I'm doing this so she won't be relying on your dusty son to do it," and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I want to set a standard for my daughter that she understands, like, if you're not better than my daddy, then, I don't really need you. I can always call on my daddy. Even with that, I do my best. I told my girl I don't spank my daughter. Because I don't want her to think that it's okay for any man to put their hands on her. My daddy didn't even whoop me. What make you think I'm gonna deal with you hitting me?
Right.
Well, my daddy will kill you. With my sons, I'm a little harder, and I do my best to be more reserved with just resorting to the whoopings or to the hitting, because growing up, like I said, my dad he from Charleston, South Carolina.
Stern,
He grew up, from the Chuck. And he grew up during the times where you had to cross the street when the white folk came past.
Oh, yeah.
So he fought in Vietnam, so he was hit first and discipline you, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I do my best to, not go directly that route.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a difference in raising them. I think you have to be, just because of the different outcomes and things that they're going to face through life.
Wow. Yeah. I'd agree.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Man, it's so many different spaces. I kind of wanted to interject and get in that. But I guess I'll start at where I want to start. Where through your fatherhood journey, and again, I guess it also is its own thing when you had your sons first and your daughter. So like your parenting is naturally going to kind of like evolve in that space. But in general, can you speak to your evolution from your first child to your last child as a father, and how you viewed parenting in itself?
You live and you learn. Let's say that. And nobody's parenting technique or style is going to fit for yours, and you're going to learn as you go. And I think that was just the real thing. Every time that, I have a child, or every situation is going to be a little different, and I have to remember that each of my children are different with their own personalities, and what may have worked for this child may not work for this child. So I think that's more so the evolution that I really found. And then just the whole dynamic of male versus female is differences in there. Like, as soon, all my kids are a little sensitive because I made them that way. But even when I told my daughter I don't like it, she immediately started crying, and I felt so bad. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're beautiful with it or without it.
Right,
And I found myself doing that with my sons. When they cry, I'm, hey, listen, it's okay to cry, but tighten up. It's okay, but but tighten up. So the evolution is just, every day just becoming better, understanding that, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to make all of the right parenting decisions. And, that's just part of life and growing up. And that's one thing that I explain to my kids. I just let them know, daddy not perfect, but daddy try.
Right.
And that's all you can do.
And so I guess to build on that, is there anything that, so this would be like, I'll give a small little excerpt of like my opinion. I think that our initial time parenting, we paired a lot of things that our parents did.
For sure, because train up a child in the way that they should go.
Right. So I think that inside doing that, a lot of times you end up finding some of the good and you throw out the bad. Is there any things that you could speak to that you might have learned from conditioning and parenting from your parents that you was like, all right, this doesn't really apply to my parenting style?
Whoopings, for example.
Okay.
I do my best to not just react to whoopings because I was afraid of my dad, and I held a lot of resentment for him for years that I didn't even really know where it stemmed from. But and my father at one point it had hurt me for him to say it. He was like, "Yeah, I thought you hated me." I was like, "Man, I can never hate you. You and mom is my first God." Because y'all the first person that I'm relying on for protection, food, everything, all of the essentials.
That's
So
how it be.
you God to me.
Yeah.
You provide everything. And my dad, he always say I love my mom more than I love him. Even when I went to their 50th wedding anniversary in Aruba, I announced when I announced them. I was like, y'all make some noise for Candace and Jail Drayton. And he was like, why you say her first? And I was like, well,
Do you call that house your mom's house? Or your dad's
I
house?
say my dad's house.
Okay.
I say my dad's house because my daddy always been a provider. And I think that's part of the stereotype or stigma, again, like the parenting style. I always see my mom just help us with school projects, making salt maps, and how we used to make the mobiles back in the day with the planets and things.
Yeah.
My mom was that person. She was that person that always was there. Even though sometimes she would work and things, she was mom. I saw mom. I saw dad go out and get it, dad be in the house. But it was just different. And I seen, what they quote unquote gender roles. So me, I tend to want to emulate those gender roles because that's what I grew up on. Even though necessarily the times have changed where more women are in the workforce now. And, me and my girl talk about it all the time, and we always have conversations about it where if you notice more, especially black women, let's just use black culture in itself, right? More black women, they're more likely to be higher educated, right? They're more likely to be promoted, higher paying jobs than most black men. So therefore, that gender role is really going to be reversed. And just in my opinion, a lot of times when you go to work and you're whether it's the male or woman, if you're in a position of power, it's harder to come home or to any situation and be submissive or to relinquish that
Power.
authority or power just because you're so used to being in that position.
I got a question for you, bro. I got a question, just kind of basic, because we always have the conversation of modern versus traditional. That's one of our themes as far as the different dynamic. And it seemed like you were raised in a more traditional,
Definitely.
but you've acknowledged how, moving forward it might be modern. So I want to ask, what, like in your parenting style, you talked about your dad, but what characteristics have you taken from your mom to help like raise your kids?
See, I'm a mama's boy, I'm my mama's only boy.
Me too.
And a baby boy.
Me too.
So it's extremely different. Like I can do, like my dad cooks and do things like that, but I find myself doing more of it, and just doing more of the pitching in and cooking to ease the stress because again, women are in the workforce just like us, and they're not stay-at-home moms.
Right.
Where I would love that to be the situation in case right now it's just not what it is. But those are the type of roles that I feel I take from my mom. She used to help us with homework. Me being a former educator, that comes natural to me to be able to help the children with their homework.
Right.
Even my stepdaughter, who I call her my bonus baby Maya, I help her all the time with her homework, just because that's something that I know and I'm pretty well at. Or if I don't know it, because some of this stuff. Crazy.
I was just about to ask. They done changed it up a lot.
They got some new math.
I'm a little afraid of math is what I seen. My niece came and she was showing me like how they come up with the. I'm like.
They go diagonal and
got
some
a
shit.
box and some boxes and I don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
So
luckily for me, I got resources and people I could just call. Like my brother Vontae, he an Alpha too. So shout out to my brother Vontae. He's a math teacher.
Oh, okay, fine.
Anytime I have math problems and questions, I just FaceTime him. Hey, look at this problem. What I got to do? and he'll sit there and break it down for us real quick
That's dope.
and be real easy. And then everything's Googleable nowadays, so you can really Google anything.
No, that's fair.
So but back to your initial question, what do I take from my mom? It's a lot of things, just being nurturing and caring, and I'm a little softer than probably most males too, just because I grew up in the house, 4 sisters, only boy, mama. Even though daddy was definitely in the house and I played sports and was outside, but I just find myself being more, a little softer and understanding with my kids, and doing more cooking and cleaning, pitching in, doing as much as I can just to make life easier for all of us. And I find sometimes comfort in that. I don't like cooking every day, but I
get
cook
down.
for you. Yeah, and my dad being from Charleston, he can
Chucktown,
cook too.
they
for real.
get down there.
Yeah.
They get down.
I guess this would be my last question. It might end up being like a 2-part, just depending on how you answer it. But I want to circle back to a piece of where we was at a second ago when it was talking about the raising of the raising of your daughters versus your sons. And I'll speak from something that I've seen, where I think that y'all acknowledge the idea of raising them differently, right? And I'll say something that I've seen, because I big family, so I got probably it's 2 sisters, 3 brothers, and me, so it's big. But what I did see was my father and mother, they raised the boys different than the girls, right? Specifically, my father, and I think with that, there's also a thing that happened that was unintentional, where I think it exacerbated the mother-daughter conflict. That like that, the button of heads that happens a lot because my father wasn't disciplinarian for my daughters. I mean, for my sisters, and where that ended up becoming like the space where my mother had to do it. And then that became like its own conflict. And you hear this conflict a lot.
Yeah.
Like most women have like that mother-daughter conflict. And I think some of it is probably stemmed from that whole thing. Where, fathers, like mama's boys and daddy's girls is his own specific thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I build up to ask, is there something that you might kind of like think through doing to avoid that, or is that something that you kind of like is like that's one of those natural progressions of parenting?
Well, like I said earlier, I don't plan on ever really, like, I might pop my daughter leg softly right now, but as she grows and matures, I'm really not gonna be the one like doing any type of physical discipline. I never seen my father discipline my sisters like that, same as you. And I've come from a pretty big family, 5 of us, 6 of y'all. I seen my father probably whoop my sister once, and that's because my sister swung on him.
So I guess because
that's
Okay.
That was the only time I seen my dad go off. And just to go on that story, it was so crazy because me and my sister was like fighting, and she ended up swinging on my dad, and my dad ended up whooping her. And I was over there smiling like, yes. Because I always got it. And I always got it bad. Right? And I was like, yes. And when he saw me smiling, then all of his attention shifted right to me. And I was like,
he doubled back on you.
Man, triple, quadruple back on me. You know what I mean? So, but I...
So I do want to make the distinction, not speaking specifically on physical.
Yeah.
But I think like fathers parent daughters gentler and whatnot, which kind of like forces the mom to have to like play more of that like authoritative role in general. Because I wouldn't say like my father didn't like whoop my sisters at all as well. But not speaking specifically to like the physical discipline, but like the general discipline across the board.
Well, I think I'm definitely going to be a disciplinarian for my daughter, but it's going to be more so talking. And I think I haven't gotten to that stage yet, so I can only speak about it, in the futuristic type of sense, Yeah. But I think I'm gonna be more so that dad who, hey, let's go out for ice cream and let me talk to you. Hey, let's go to dinner and let me talk to you. but I'm still going to be a disciplinarian because I have expectations, and I don't want my daughter, again, thinking that certain things are okay. Because again, that's my daughter, you know, and I don't want anything to happen to her, and I don't want her just accepting anything that comes along. Like, for example, I see so often, like, one day I pulled up to a gas station and I seen a girl changing the tire and dude sitting in the car.
Oh, damn,
And I'm
that's the
like,
fuck shit. So he was sitting in the car, and she was out there changing the tire.
and she didn't know what she was doing.
That's crazy.
And so, and they were trying to use like the little regular jack and things.
And bro wasn't trying to help at all.
Not helping
See,
at all. He in there on his phone. So, you know, and that goes to
Ain't worth
even
a fuck.
that even goes back to just he probably don't have a father who showed him how to even change a tire.
You
So,
can at least
what-
try.
And see, that's the thing. If you don't know how to do it,
Get out
you
there,
be out there with YouTube.
look stupid with her. Like, you can at
That's
least
the main thing. You just got to turn the jack either way. I'm like,
can
hey,
at
at least
least
it
go
don't
out
fit.
there and look stupid
I
with
think
her.
it's trip, man.
You know, but you know, and when I saw it, man, I pulled over, and I immediately helped. This was some years ago, but I pulled over and man, hey, young boy, come here, man. Let me show you how to do this. And you know, I showed him how to do it. I see girls all of the time pumping their gas, dude in the car. You know, little things like that irk and irritate me. Other day, you know, like I tell my girl, even when we go to the grocery store. Man, get in the car. I'll put all of the groceries in there. I'm carrying them in the house. She might grab a bag or two on the way to the house, just to, you know, help out. But that's not your job. That's my job. That's what I saw. And, you know, even the other day I'm at the grocery store, I see dude, and they weren't black. But I see the guy, he one little bag, the girl carrying like 4 bags. And to me, that's just like, what are we doing? And I never want my daughter to think that's acceptable. And you don't lift a finger. Like, if you want to help out, that's extra and that's appreciated.
Right.
But you're not about to be out there shoveling no snow. And you know, like I was I was even talking to my uncle the other day, and he was upset that, you know, my sister was outside shoveling snow in Buffalo, and he was like, "Yo, where your husband at?" And he was in the house on the couch. Like,
Oh,
what are you
damn.
doing?
See, I was going to try to, and see, I was going to give a little bit of, this is, I want you to know that me and you are more like, on the same type
yeah,
time.
spirits.
That
Yeah.
we're on the same type time when it comes to that, but I just want to play like, you know what I mean, just to be fair. You know
There
what I
you
mean?
go, boy. I like that.
So what about, and this is something that I think about too, like the preparation for like my daughter when she is single. You know what I mean? What does that look like? Like when she's single and she doesn't have a man, then who shovels the snow? Should she be equipped?
Oh, but you gotta be equipped to handle your own. And see me, I'm a strong advocate against strong black female. Because you don't hear any other race, strong white female, strong Asian female. You don't hear that. And I understand that, you know, black females had to take on this role because we not in the picture, but that's a whole systematic type of conversation anyway
I
where
think that it infers weak black male.
exactly.
That's what it infers.
You know, unconsciously it does.
Yeah.
But and I again overstand that they had to take on this role because we were in jail and, you know, or not in the picture because of whatever reasons and why they wanted to destroy the black family, right? She definitely has to be equipped for those moments. But again, she knows she can always call daddy. She can always call her 2 brothers. And if you in the same area or same vicinity as either of us, you're going to have the tools to be able to do it, but you don't necessarily have to do it because we one phone call away. And I teach my boys, that's your sister. Whatever she needs, you her protector. Like I named all my kids intentional.
What's the names?
My son, I wanted to name him just King, but compromised with his mom, Kingston. You know, and I love Bob Marley, so it went right with it. But we call him King.
No, Kingston.
And his name Kingston Amir. My son, his name's Knight Josiah, like knight in shining armor, and they all begin with K's because of my mother, right? They all got my daddy last name, all right? So you got King, you got Knight, and then my daughter is Kylie Lorde, Lorde. So, it's all just power in that. That's my holy trinity. So I named them all intentional. But you can always call on your brothers if daddy get too old to be able to do it. But just know, y'all her protectors. Whatever she need, y'all make sure y'all there for it.
I guess so. I'll probably be here to give a little pushback real quick.
Okay.
I think
Push back.
so for me, I'm probably a little bit more of an advocate for specifically raising daughters to be independent women, and I think defining it outside of like the toxic tropes of what an independent woman looks like. Where typically when we say independent woman, we're speaking about a lot of the negative characteristics when it comes with like not being agreeable and different shit like that. Not that. I think that in general, as fathers, I think you give your daughter leverage inside any relationship she steps into to not have to depend on a man to provide any specific thing. And if she has the ability to provide her own specific lifestyle, like you never have to be with a guy because he provides X, Y, and Z.
For sure.
Or search for guys before. You can actually look at a lot more of the qualities in which, as a father, you would want your daughter to have in a partner. Which him being like a well-rounded, good man that has those, just those characteristics that make for a good father. That make for a good. Go ahead.
I don't really feel like that's pushback because I want my daughter to be the same, but I still want my daughter to be able to be submissive. Where I feel, like you said, the negative connotation that most people have with independent, strong black female, they're not able to be submissive. And I'm speaking generalized, not everybody, but it's harder for them to be submissive because they've never seen it. They only seen their mother do everything. Take out the trash and do everything. And that even goes back to a flip where, mama's boys. Mama treats her son a certain way, and then when he goes out and looks for a woman, she's not going to treat him the same way as mama does. And that's what he's looking for, to be kind of pampered and baby. I think it's important, like Rell said, to make sure that your daughter has those characteristics and tools to be able to do everything where she doesn't need a man, but still understanding that a man is going to be my partner and we're going to be able to build together. And I'm going to be able to still be somewhat submissive to him because he's supposed to be this head. And I seen what my daddy did and how my daddy was. But I still want her to be able to do everything where she doesn't have to depend on a man.
Right. So that to me that sounds like an independent woman that knows how to be in a partnership.
Correct.
Right. No. If that's our middle ground, then I agree.
I think y'all saying the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So
of
no
course.
pushback.
Oh yeah.
I don't want her to ever have to depend on anybody.
They aggressively
I want her to be able to
Aggressively agree.
I definitely want her to be able to cook for herself, change a tire if she has to because she's stuck on the side of the road. I don't want her just sitting there like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And waiting for somebody to pull over and help her. I want her to be able to do everything that I can do, but understanding if I have a man, I don't have to do none of that because that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do.
No, that's fine.
But I don't need you to do it. But I respect your position to do it, and I expect you.
But that's
to
what
do
push
it.
a man. Because if you got a woman that can do all of it, but I expect you to do it. That's what push a man to like do that. Because if I'm not doing this, she don't need me to do this. She just want me to.
It's crazy how it just feels for me. Like just like you said, the with the bags and all that. Like if my wife was coming out of the house and getting the bags out the car, and she just, you know what I mean, like
That's crazy.
like that. Anytime I see her attempting, or even like my mom's attempting to do some shit that's like close to like if she got the trash bag about to walk out the house with it, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like then you almost disrespecting me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm right here.
Because I'm right here. No, let me get that bag. Like, you know what I mean? It just, I agree with you.
And sometimes my girl got to tell me, yo, you don't have to do it all. I can help. Because I'm like, no, I got it. Move, sit down. I got it. Let me do it. Because I don't want her to feel like she has to do it. Or that she's ever expected or required to do it. I want you to be the queen that you're supposed to be. And that may sound like, some bullshit or some fluff, but that's just real.
No, that's definitely real. And like I said, I like the way this conversation, and we'd have been a few places, but I think it's a fully evolved conversation, and I think that's a good place to put a pin in it.
So it sounds like a good time to hop into the Who Asked You Anyway segment. Off cam Tides, what you got?
So, looking at the totality of your fatherhood journey thus far, what has been the most difficult thing and how did you overcome that challenge?
For me personally, I believe the most difficult thing or situation that I had to face was just, the two-parent household, co-parenting. I didn't grow up in a two-parent, a co-parenting situation. Both my parents was in the house. So it was a little different. Yeah, I saw it from friends and my sister and things like that. Once she had her children, but just navigating and learn how to navigate and have that relationship and communication would definitely probably be the most difficult situation for me. Just because I definitely wanted to avoid any of the horror stories that you heard, about having baby mamas or baby mom or things like that. So just learning how to deal with that, navigate that, and finding, common ground between us two.
Okay, and then my last question is, when you think about you as a father, what is the one thing that you would want your children to remember you by? If you could pick one.
The one thing I would want my children to know that daddy loved them. And everything that he did to become better for them and to leave, the world a better place and to leave their situation better. They inspire me and encourage me every day just to be better. So that would definitely be the one thing I want my children to always know. If you don't have anybody else, you got daddy. And daddy always going to love you whether you right, you wrong. I'm going to let you know when you right and wrong. But just know I still love you because of who you are.
And that's all I had.
Thank you.
No, it's a great answer. Two great answers. But I think it'd be a good time to we got a few audience members in here today, and we'll go to
And before we jump into that, I know you said that was off cam. What you call
Oh,
it?
that's
Cam
off cam
Tides.
Tides.
Oh, who's that?
Miss Lady. So if we also go into like relationship clarification, that's my girl.
Okay.
That's my lady. But as well, she is one of the 5-headed monsters that make this podcast.
a very
Okay,
integral
dope.
part of
Where we have
making this shit
Tone,
happen.
that's our engineer.
Okay.
We
Producer.
have off engineer, producer, mastermind.
A-Dot.
I call him Tone. Listen, when I know niggas, I just be calling him by their name. My bad. But his name is his actual name is Sir A. Dot,
Yeah,
right?
you introduced yourself as Tone, but then when I said what's your IG, you was like Sir A. Dot. So
He do the same thing.
Yeah.
They get on me, but then Cam, she is.
Off
Why
cam.
did I say that? Off Cam Tides. She is more so like she's our softer perspective. She's what balances the podcast because again, you get enough men in the room, it becomes like a very specific conversation. And I think that getting a woman's perspective on the litany of things that we talk about is always really, really important. So she does that. She also she's also Mama Taj. I done heard that as well. She makes sure all our hands is not ashy and lotioned up. And
She
shit
keep
like
the
that.
lotion and the Vaseline.
Yeah,
She keep us moisturized on set.
She keep us in check. With a bunch of different things.
She hooked us up with
That's-
the joint right here.
Oh nah, yeah. She is Miss behind the scenes for sure.
but that's dope that your lady even plays an intricate part of your whole podcast and supporting what you do because that's that power couple thing that a lot of people don't have. They don't have
Right,
that support,
right.
which makes it even difficult to be a father or be a artist or an entertainer or whatever your space may be. It's always easier when your lady is
Yes.
a part of it or supportive of it. So that's definitely dope, yo. I commend y'all for that, and I commend you for that, for being supportive of him, because that's just inspirational for more women to do the same. So, I hope people look at y'all, and y'all need to do something together, just, even if y'all haven't thought about it, but y'all need to definitely do something together just to show that power couple and how you are supportive and how, y'all just work and how that relationship works.
No,
For sure.
I agree, and I think it's also like there's a reciprocal effect to it as well. So I think that is important for a woman to support and help their man chase his dreams and be supportive of that as long as it's something that's within the bounds of what makes sense within their relationship.
For sure.
And same thing for me to her. Like, she has her own business, and as she starts ramping up, it's gonna be on my back because of how much love she shows me. I have to
Gotta be
reciprocate.
reciprocal.
Have to reciprocate that. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? It can't be a one-way street to where, like, she just shows me all the love and she supports all my dreams, and then she has some shit going on, and I just be like, well, good luck with that. and whatever. And again, like, she's not, her dream isn't in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But there's other ways that I have to make sure that I am supportive of her dreams as well, like her individual hustles and different things like that, because of. You can't take for granted when somebody helps you with something that is your thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
But just to chime in on that, I think that's so important because like that's one reason why
we can tag 'em.
I fell in love with my girl Alicia.
Yeah.
Because I first met her, she was an artist and still is an artist, a dope MC. She was on BET on that One Shot show with S-Dub and Sway and all of them. And then, you know, she started branching out to do other things, and she always supported my music and things. We had two projects together. She came out with her own lingerie line called Unleash Lingerie, and you know, we started doing that. Then she came out with a.
Hold on, can I thought that was funny just then.
What?
Her own lingerie line called Unleash Lingerie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. Because lingerie is the wrong way to say it. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's fire though.
Yeah.
All right, my bad.
Because wanted to add a little different.
Yeah, no, I get
spin on it.
But like, that's something that could easily go past. That's smart marketing. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, Unleash, and then just a play off her name, Leisha. So Unleash, and you just unleashing that inner freak, you know. So she has her own. Definitely got to link you with her. You know, yeah. But then she also just came out with speaking of mental health, she did all of this herself, and that's what made it extra dope. She learned how to do it. Like, that's one thing I love about her. She figures out how to make things work, and I think that's one thing. Like, a lot of the women, they look at things from a different perspective than we may do. They say the man the head, but the woman the neck to help the head move and turn and all of that. So she came out with her a self-love journal, woman's self-love journal, because it's for mental health. And now we're actually working on another self-help journal, and it's called Man, Love Yourself. Because it's a spinoff of hers self-love, and it's just going to be for the men. And we it's actually in the process right now, just for the men, because again, with that mental health, we don't have outlets. You know, the Bible say write the vision, and you know, that's also just us as being creatives and writers and things. That's just another way for us to get out our emotions. Sometimes we don't have an opportunity to talk to people. So, you know, once she came out with hers and learned how to do it herself, and it's on Amazon, I was like, hey, you know, I started going to therapy and things. I want you to, I want to take your idea. I want to spin off of it. Can I do that? She was like, yeah, let's collab. And I was like, she was like, what you want to name it? And I was like, same thing, self-love journal, but I just want to put man in front of it. Like, man, you gotta love yourself. You feel me? Because like you said in the beginning, a lot of times we don't take that time to really love ourselves or to check in with ourselves because we constantly pouring. So that's definitely dope that y'all have that. And you know, that's just, again, inspirational to others. And that's one thing me and Alicia definitely try to make sure that we do, just inspire other couples to, you know, go after their dreams, charge themselves, and, you know, figure out ways to work. For sure.
No, that's fire, bro. And hey, when it drop, we gotta get you. We'll get you and Lisa back on here.
Oh man, let's do it.
And y'all can get that off. Cause
hers already up. Mine will be out. Well, our man one will be out sometime in February.
Okay, we'll get you back on. I think that's. I definitely think that's a fire. You know, to have the couples on there. I think that's a fire spot. But what's up, Khue?
No, I just want to make one statement. Hey, fellas. That's how you support your lady. You seen what he did? He just ran down a whole live promo list of everything she has going on and what's to come. Support your lady too, bro.
Free game.
Sure, you got to.
Free game. That's how you do it. But yeah, we gonna have them back on. Yeah. You know, when next month when y'all drop. But like I say, bro, I think it's time to get into. You know, we got We got a couple audience members in here. We'll get into ask the audience and see what they got for us.
Hey, I appreciate the inspiring conversation. What I want to know is, what legacy do you want to leave as a father and entertainer?
With legacy, just a positive one. Positive one. I want to show again, just back to the beginning. That's my brother drummer SC. He's very. He plays a big role in pretty much everything I do, just like my girl does with Backstages and Fatherhood. He's the one who's making the, I send him a draft of my idea, like, yo, this is what I wanted to kind of look like. And he turns it and flips it into this. When I send him Leisha's Unleashed Lingerie logo, I said, yo, bro, I need this. He flipped it and turned it into it. And he just make visions manifest and come into fruition. So I always appreciate my brother. So I definitely had to shout you out, man. I appreciate you. Love you for sure. What I just want to leave for in music, parental, everything, just positivity. Just showing that, every black man not criminal. Every black man, can break statistics. And, we can be fathers. We can wear different hats and just be positive overall, Change the stereotypes of what most people say we are. Melanin Rich. Shout out to my brother clothing line too, Melanin Rich. Ellie and Drip.
I was just looking at the shirt, man. I gotta get me one of them, bro. I was just looking at the shirt, man. I gotta get me one of them.
Yeah, he a father as well, man. Dope father. Pretty much same situation as me. He get his kids full week, bi-weekly, and he got girls and a little boy. So he got, what, 3 girls? 2 girls? 2 girls.
Got 2 girls.
2 girls, 1 boy. Okay, little deuce. Yeah. So, and that's just like y'all have y'all brotherhood where y'all can call each other. He's definitely one of the ones who I call just, man, for motivation, encouragement. A couple other people like my big bro, Nino, and brother Ralph, and, a couple other people. So, yeah, for sure.
No, I definitely think that's important as far as, like, y'all got y'all brotherhood, we got our brotherhood, I got my homie here, as far as, like, when we start bringing all this shit together. And start linking infrastructures.
It's building blocks.
And you just build that shit out, man. So this is great positivity. Like I said, I'm gonna get with you, drummer. We definitely gonna tap in. But I think we got one more question. Big dog Skill in the building. Come on,
Peace, Skill.
Big Skill.
Nice to meet everybody. Thank y'all for having me on. Great conversation. So I just want to throw just I guess kind of a little controversial mind thinking question out there. So
Here we go.
in a situation, we have a lot of situations where people have kids together, have a relationship, and in the beginning it works out, but different things in life, maybe these 2 people aren't able to reconcile. Do y'all believe in staying together for the kids? Are you one of those people? Do you believe that that's what the healthy option? Staying together, working it out for the kids, even maybe having y'all own thing going on? Or do you believe it's healthier to just, if 2 people aren't working out, for them to separate and, co-parent away from each other? So, yeah.
You want me to jump in first? Or?
You can jump in first.
Yes and no. And I know that's kind of a political answer, but I'm going to say yes and no for this reason. I say no first. Because you have to make sure your kids are seeing a healthy relationship. They have to see what love really looks like, so that way they can identify what love is and what love isn't, right? But in that same breath, I would say yes, because the kids should always be the focal point, right? And if you can put your ego aside, I just saw this book that said ego is the enemy. If you could put your ego and pride aside and figure out common ground and ways to make it work, where, it's not always going to be easy to love somebody and be in love because you're constantly growing, but that's where communication comes into. Constant communication, talking, making sure that, how was your day? Man, what changed in you? Because people going to change, and as they change, you can grow apart. But as long as you finding a way to grow and change together and accepting those changes that, people are experiencing, then yes, you can still find that ground and make it work for the kids because you understand or overstand that the kids are the focal point and you want to see their healthy growth inside that. But it's a yes and no. If you just staying just to be with the kids and you and your girl or you and your guy roommates and y'all sleeping in two different rooms and they just seeing constant arguments and fighting and things like that's not healthy for the kids. So it comes back to, can you have a healthy relationship to show them? And if you can, then you're good to go.
Now that's a fire point.
Yeah,
I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
Yeah, no. Honestly, to me the answer that is I agree 100% with the answer. You know what I mean? Anytime I think about it, I think that the kids are the priority. Once you've gotten to the point to where you introduce that life into the world, you take the back seat. So like you take the back seat, and so that personal happiness thing that we hear all of this that takes a back seat to the kids. And then you know what I mean. Like he said, if it gets to a point to where it is destructive for the idea of relationships for the children, because of course at the end of the day, a lot of the times we're all freestyling, and a lot of us are freestyling because we haven't had that actual example in front of us. So I think it's better if it's going to be destructive to show, if it's going to be something that shows them destructive love. You know what I mean? Because you can love somebody and it still just be a destructive relationship, or it's toxic, as they say now. If that's going to be the case, then you should go part ways. But at the end of the day, if as long as you all have the common goal, and that's another thing I think about relationships in general, and the just that common goal. The common goal should be just the success of the family itself as a whole. And the priority is no longer you or your partner. It is the kids at that point. Once you introduce them, and then I don't mean to just kind of go down a whole wormhole, but I definitely agree with everything you said. You know what I mean? But you should try everything to stay. You should try everything to stay. And I think that's on both people. Like my mom told me where my marriage hit a rough spot. She said you definitely don't leave your marriage until you know you've done every single thing that you could do. And I think that's just the same with like your kids. Once you introduce kids to the world, you need to do every single thing that you can do to make that work. And you know what I mean? On both sides. Because the goal is common. It's a common goal.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, I'm not married, but I think a lot of people, once they hit that rough spot, they think everything's supposed to be peaches and cream and ice cream and cake. And, it's not always going to be that way. So they end up just jumping from this and going to a new situation because it has that newness, right? And
newness something, boy.
See what I'm saying? But it's not. But once that new car smell is no longer new car,
you be like, damn, this. I look at it. The way I look at it is the fence is always green.
Green on the other side.
And until you go over there and you hop the fence and be like, oh damn, the grass is the grass. Once you got into that level of maturation, then you understand. And I think that for some people that's a quick journey, some people that's a long journey. But I think that's an eventual journey that every man has to eventually get to. For sure.
And just to use that analogy, use the grass greener. It's only greener because you're not watering your grass. You're not putting feed in the grass, the fertilizers and things that you need to make your grass greener. That goes back to everything. You're not tending to your yard. So if you put in that time and effort to make your grass greener,
it's going to be greener.
It's going to be greener. And then you can start planting trees and flowers.
And too, because it's been through the weather.
Fruits and vegetables and other things. You did?
Nah, that's a great answer.
What was the question again? I want to answer. I'll hop in. Oh, family staying together
for the children,
like for the children or not. I guess I was started at. So, I think that I'm an advocate for sure of the two-family household raising a kid. So that's where I started. I think that is the strongest foundation for kids, and statistically speaking, that is the best scenario to be able to percentage-wise raise really good kids, and if we extrapolate that from the black community to communities overall, those are strong points in which are exemplary through all cultures and communities that build strong families, strong cultures, strong people. Just is what it is. So I'm always going to be a heavy advocate for that. Of course, there's the caveat, because I think that this isn't a black and white scenario where I think it echoes everything that everybody said, where if it gets to a toxic space, then yes, I think that's the tap out button. And everybody has to figure out exactly what that toxic space looks for them. In which I would just lightly define it as where you're not able to operate inside a semblance of yourself within inside that relationship. And that can be defined within your happiness, your integrity, your well-being, your whatever, your health. And I think that all in all, again, first things first, and this is coming from somebody that I'm not with my son's mother. So there was a spot where I chose the otherwise. Of course, as you get older, there is the resentment once you understand the full scope of things. I was 21 years old when I was with my son's mother and she had him, in which like now would I have loved to raise him inside a two-parent household? Of course, especially knowing what I know X, Y, and Z. But that's a part of the maturation phase where I know for a fact at that time I thought it was like a whole bunch of like green grass over there.
Yeah.
And it didn't take me till like I was about 28, 29 till I was like, okay, I done sold all the oats. I done did all the things that I needed to do. And now I need to learn how to find a partner and then recognize the things within myself that's not as good as well to be a good partner as well.
But man, not to cut you. That's the pivotal part, though, because you had to do a self-examination, right? And I think so often, and even with me, that's pretty much the same situation, right? Even though I had my kids later, but it was just like, that pride and that ego,
Yeah.
And when people, even now, like my girl, she want me to eat better. I grew up, my dad ate a lot of snacks. He got a whole case next to his bed, just honey buns.
I never eat it.
Oh, Swiss roll Debbie cake.
Yeah, he got all of that,
Your
right?
pops is Khue.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So that's me. I come in the house, I got donuts, cookies, and I'm going
Oh, yeah,
snack.
your kids love you. You got the pies and cakes on that.
Exactly. So I'm going to snack, right?
Yeah.
And she like, stop doing that. Man, here, drink this. This is mushroom root. Drink this. This is I call it pencil shaving. Because, dog, it tastes just like pencil shavings to me. You know what I mean? But she like, here, take this. It's marshmallow root. It's good for your stomach, and it's gonna help with this. And I'm like, man, hell no, this is disgusting. Being an adult, it ain't supposed to always taste good. I'm like, man, nah, that's just what adults say. They're trying to make you feel
But no,
bad.
we drink alcohol and that shit nasty as fuck.
I don't really drink, but
Not you. All right, so
But alcohol ain't even that nasty.
Stop.
You ever Tell me.
Beer nasty as
I
hell
don't
the
drink beer.
first time.
Yeah, beer nasty as hell.
The first time.
I don't drink beer at all.
Yeah, I don't
But
drink beer
let me
like
ask you a question. You ever had marshmallow root?
I haven't, so I'm speaking from a space of ignorance.
Have you ever had gold seal root?
No, we gotta step our
Listen,
step our game up.
all of that tastes like dirt. And pencil shavings and ass. Like I ain't even gonna lie to
That
you.
man take
That
a
shit
shot.
is disgusting, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. It is disgusting, but it's good for you and it's healthy, right? And she be wanting me to do different things just to. I want you around for the kids. I don't want you to be gone.
I got a question.
So me, just real quick, me naturally, I want to give pushback because I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
But I have to humble myself and understand that you're right. I do have to be better, not just for me, but for the kids. What example am I setting for these kids? I need to be around for them. It's all good and dandy to be daddy now, but what if daddy get real sick and then I can't move and now y'all got to take care of me and I'm 40.
And I'm gonna co-sign your old lady real quick. And you having that traditional mindset. This is one thing too. I would say that what you believing in those roles, that is a role that you have to allow her to to fulfill.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Because I think that's important to. Well, we ain't gonna go into all of that's for another time. But yeah, allowing her to fulfill that role, especially when you believe in those gender roles, the the health of the family comes through that. So yeah, I would say that I done had some nasty shit poured down my throat before too. You know what I mean? Just being honest, and yeah, it just be part of it.
I want y'all to try that marshmallow root, gold seal root.
And here's my question. You say it's nasty.
He recommending pencil
but what is the benefit? What he said?
I'm recommending pencil shavings. I promise you, it tastes just like that to me. It even looked like it.
But
I'm saying,
but okay, it tastes nasty. I get it. Like, but what? There got to be a benefit. Like, what did your girl say? Does it help with heart health? Or
it helps with your stomach coating and everything. Drummer actually put me on gold seal root because that clean out your system and everything, especially like those who smoke and whatnot. Right. It'll help clean out your system.
Okay, so it's like
it's very beneficial, but it does rejuvenate and build different cells and things inside your body, right? Yeah. So it's definitely good for you, and it's natural. It's not like taking medicines and things because a lot of our sicknesses come from the extra mucus inside of us and all of that
inflammation.
Exactly, and that's what rest in peace. And that's what really. It's for. That's what it's for. And she just wanted the best. And once you really understand, like, okay, and I struggle with it to this day, you know, okay, she just wanted the best for me. She not just trying to tell me what to do and trying to be my mom, but she want to see me live longevity and thrive and also be healthy in every aspect of life, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, etc.
So I guess this leads us to a good little spot. Where Dee Dray, we've asked the audience, we had off-cam Taj. We would love for a question that you have for us. You know what I mean? However you want to go, it could be on topic, off topic, but give us a question for the pod.
What do you think? All right, so if y'all didn't know, I've been wearing a shirt all day. I gave y'all them as well. Backstages of Fatherhood. As I told you, this is for... it's an idea that we came up with that focuses on fathers because, of course, they don't show us as fathers. You know, they always single mothers, single strong black females, etc. I just saw a video where a father actually had to do like 180 days in jail because he was overpaying his child support and visiting his son too much according to court order. And they put him in jail.
It's tight
for it, right? But this is specifically focusing on fathers who are in the entertainment industry in some capacity, like yourselves. What do you feel is the hardest thing about being a father and still chasing your dreams? Because and before I give y'all that opportunity to answer, because my father, he graduated with a degree in like acting and things. He wanted to be an actor, but once he started having kids, his dreams were deferred. And for a long time, I didn't understand it. And I was like, nah, you got to still chase your dreams. Don't let being a father stop it. But his priorities changed and his love for being a father overtook it. And that really wasn't his passion anymore. But what would you say the hardest thing for y'all being a father and still chasing your dreams will be?
I guess I would start by saying I think that it's a hard balance in itself. Because of as your father, I think that there becomes a preference and priority. And this can be like, for me, I know that was the thing as well. Where once my son got to a specific age, it was hard for me to like equitably balance the artist dad mode. And like it can be seen in like my output for sure as well. And like that was a decent variable that came in with like me stepping back from the microphone. Where just in general, having a kid is a selfless act. Being a active father is a selfless act. That's a better way to put it. So with that, there became this prioritization of my son before me. And making sure that I had giving him all the facilities to be able to be the best version of himself. And that comes at a detriment to yourself at times. And I think now, like, I had this conversation with him maybe a few weeks ago, or maybe it was within like the last 2 months. And a conversation that I had with him was also like this pod. It was speaking about this pod where I also had to like sit back and make sure that I gave a real time example. And a real time example was that find your happiness, chase your dreams. And for me, like even this podcast is a version of that, where he can see his father at 35 years old. You know what I mean? Where like the average social media post will be like, nigga, just sit down and be in the house and do whatever. Where I can unabatedly chase a dream, a big dream. Whether it happens, it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. I think that the idea of the fulfillment of happiness in general for your own personal self is amazing. So I have to make sure I set that example if that's something I want to make sure he does for himself.
Gotcha.
And like I said, like it's the balance of, again, we had in the last pod or the pod before that, the past two pods, we talked about the balance of finances and family. I think that that's another really big part where we get to a part as fathers. And I just had a friend who now he's taken a pay cut to be able to be so previously this is over 100K guy. And for him, making that didn't mean as much as being off on weekends because now my kids want to be active. I got a daughter that want to do this. I got a son that want to do this. Mm-hmm. And I want to be an active father for them. Like I can't, damn, I make all this money, but I don't want to be a FaceTime dad. I don't want to see the games, the practices, X, Y, and Z through FaceTime. Mm-hmm. And like that was a big sacrifice that he had to sit down and really find out what his values was as a person. Was, okay, I value my kids a little bit more than a paycheck. Of course, there's the baseline that I got to provide a certain amount, but I'm willing to sacrifice a couple dollars if I can actually really be a dad. If I can really be there to when they look up in the stands and for the good or bad, they have a comfort system sitting right there. They can see me doing this and be happy. And I think that that's a balance in itself that we all sit and play with. So those would be the two things that I would specifically say.
And people always say, they always say that it's one or two things you'll never have enough of. Mm-hmm. Time or money. Mm-hmm. So one of them going to get sacrificed.
Big fact.
Either I'm going to give you my time and we're going to sacrifice some of the money.
The bread.
Mm-hmm.
Or
you going to have everything you want, but I ain't always going to be there.
Have the bread, but I ain't going to be there.
That goes to like something that it's like my slogan. You know what I mean? I've been saying this ever since, even before the pod started. Like people put paper over position, and we have to flip that. It's definitely position over paper. You know what I mean? And that's really important to me. And I feel like the same thing will, except my children are still young. So I'm still in the point, and my wife is like a stay-at-home wife. So she does hold a brunt of the child rearing, and I am doing the bulk of like getting to it. I would say that how I would say this, I think this, it's not necessarily for me, the hardest part isn't, no, I'll say this, the hardest part is learning to schedule your time. The hardest part is being more intentional about figuring out where your space is, you know what I mean, and making sure that you get that time and space within the time that you have, you know what I mean. Just that's the hardest part, is just making sure you leave yourself that time for your creativity. Gotcha. You know what I mean, leaving that time just to, with all of the things going on, you know what I mean, you still have to check all of your boxes. Well, make sure that there's time in there for you to get off what you need, which is like right now, this is what, you know what I mean, these Sunday afternoons and from morning, this is this is my time. That's what we do. And having a partner, and then it goes in with the partnership, having that partner that is understanding and actually embraces you having that time. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say.
Gotcha. And just to kind of speak to you, Khue, because again, I seen the transition. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I personally wrestle with. because I don't know if you still get that little itch. You know?
Oh, of course. I
Because,
still got a studio upstairs. I still make a record or two.
yeah.
Or whatnot.
Because I had fell back for a while.
Yeah.
And you know, my brother drummer got, nah, bro, you owe me an album. You owe me an album together. We ain't never get it out. We gotta go ahead and do it because I found myself not wanting or not being as inspired because the finances going to that when I can allocate that to my kids. My time going to the studio when I can be at home working on tying shoes, working on other things that, in my opinion, is more important than me going out and performing and doing shows and attempting to make my dreams come into fruition and manifest, right? And that's one reason why I commended you, because I seen how you, again, you took yourself out of it. And you was like, yo, it's my son. And everything started, because I love the music. I remember the album that you had with the braids. You had the hat on. You had the angel wings with the halo.
Yeah. Free Will.
That's
Free Will. That's a classic.
That's my
Classic.
Man, I couldn't remember the name. That's my shit. You see how I remember the artwork.
Yeah.
So, and then I just seen how that transitioned all the way to AAU basketball games, and even seeing how nice your son got. Because when he first started playing, I was like, oh yeah, he good. But now he doing things. I'm like, oh, he nice. My team will still beat their ass, but
It wouldn't even be close. I'm gonna be honest. It's a
Bro say QJ will drop 30 on y'all.
Listen, we done played the top two teams in the district. He got highlight reels on him. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah,
But
he got highlight reels. Did the team win?
Of course. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's something different until he come to that hole and you know, yo, don't hurt him, but.
I'm saying, if y'all boys want to set
give him one good shot.
Want to set something?
Oh no, we will.
Give him
but
one
I'm
good
also
shot.
say this. Listen, last week he was what 4 for 5 from 3. He's still gonna let it fly.
Okay.
And it's gonna be at a high percentage.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, I hear you.
Hey man,
But I ain't gonna stop you from making your point. So,
I think y'all should set it up, man.
Yeah.
Can you hoop?
Of course.
You can play?
Yeah. I can play. I'm decent enough. So he's not had formal training outside of me.
Okay.
So like me and him go to the gym.
Okay.
And like we work out. I still hoop. Like I'm a how do you say it? I'm a park legend. That's the way I look at it. Like me, like matter of fact, Jeremy done been out to the courts and shit a couple times. But like I'm a nigga on Sunday. We still go out there.
Yeah.
All
Like
right, so,
me and my older brother, like that's where basketball came from. Me and him.
Okay.
Like that was our complete little like dynamic and relationship growing up. He was older than me.
you play too?
Nah, I done settled down.
You don't
Like,
play at all?
It'd be hard to get Jeremy on the court. Back in the day, Jeremy he was past.
I was about to say,
He
man,
could do something.
we could have did a little 2-on-2 man drummer versus shot too.
Oh nah, it's a watch still. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I ain't trying to see us.
I don't think they're trying to see us either. I had to go and get my.
I get Johnny. Johnny be on my team. I just have belief in me.
Man, I got the jumper, bro. Come on,
but
put
you
me
wanna-
out there. Put me out there. The jumper went.
I'm
I'm gonna go down in that corner and hit all my shit.
You know, I still hope. And I still be out there with my kid, you know, my team and whatnot. But I'm going to just say this. He too little for me.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you that. He ain't even looked at it when he said it either. He too little.
Anybody my size or close to my size,
Hey, okay.
unless they my man DeJuan Harris, who
not the one point guard.
So you gonna put me in the post?
unless they the one who led the nation in assists or with some type of collegiate statistic. They too little for me, man.
All right.
They too little for me. So it's
I'm-
y'all two versus me and drummer.
He
Nah,
should.
this is the fact.
Hey, we can
So
do
when
that, bro.
we
All
go,
I'm gonna say is that. All right, so
I got
y'all heard it here.
I'm in there hoop,
Hold on, drop.
because it's still cold. So we can go.
Hold on, Drake.
Post man, you got
listen,
post move.
We
got it all,
taking
bro.
up 2
I
people
got
and cameras
I got
to the
Buffalo,
court,
Buffalo,
and we
New York.
have a
I grew up in
2-on-2
the air
on the way.
I grew
We
up
got
in the air.
Dee Dray and Drummer versus Quint Young and Johnny P. We gonna set it up.
And we go
bring it
live stream. We go live stream and all that.
It's over.
This shit is gonna be
Man,
hilarious.
I can get us in the John C. Smith easy, and we can
I'm
play
with it.
inside. I got a couple people who run park and recs. We can get in there either or.
Whichever
It's too
way.
cold outside.
Well, I'll
right
get
now.
all y'all niggas in the Y.
And my knees
gonna
too
make it
bad
happen.
really for outside.
I love this.
You know, but yeah, for sure.
Nah, I'm with
I like
that.
it. I like
I'm
it.
definitely with that.
Make sure he ain't drinking the way he is right now.
Man said
I
I'm
don't
too
want no
little,
excuse.
bro. I'm with that, bro.
What you about 5'7"?
5'7".
You
Generous.
little, man.
Listen, but Dee Dray, the same way
You had to cross my legs on this.
My legs been crossed, nigga. Legs been crossed, nigga.
I'm sorry, man.
Been crossed.
Yeah.
It's cool, bro. Hey, we can just get it, bro.
All right, man. We gonna set this up.
We can just get it.
You want to say by end of the month or what?
Oh, no, that's cool with me. I'm still.
And I want your son. I want your son out there.
Dope, so I'm cool.
I want your son to see Daddy take this loss.
I love it. This is a good one.
This is a good one, bro. I like this.
But
I like this.
Y'all see how he's talking about himself. There's a whole nother 2-on-2 to it, to where there's another person. I pray that Drummer is living up to the smoke.
Drummer ain't said nothing.
Like right now, you see a whole lot of white smoke coming out. That Timney got a whole lot of smoke coming out, right?
I'm say
He was telling me about Ja Morant earlier. Listen,
me and you X each other out. But I got Drummer over him just off of Heidi Long.
again,
Okay.
Just off of Heidi Long. And Drummer Khue. Me and Drummer used to
I'm be
lose.
quiet. All right, we like it.
We'll be there.
All right, Rell, what you got?
I ain't got shit. I was trying to.
I ain't know.
I was trying.
Hey, I was on your type of time, but they challenged us.
I feel it. Hey, I want to see this.
They challenged us.
We gonna have to get this in, my brother.
I want all y'all see me.
Yo, listen, you want all the smoke? What y'all say? We run up the chimney.
See, so
We run up the chimney, man.
also listening to people. So we gonna make like a clip, and this is gonna be a 2-pair clip where
all of that.
we're gonna go to everything that Dee Dray just said, and then we're gonna fast cut it right to me like smacking him, back to back to back to back, and then like we'll end it with like one of them like. You want
to know why it's gonna look like that? Because you're gonna have your people making them edits and cuts. They ain't gonna show when I hit him with that. They ain't gonna show when I you gonna have to like switch, and then as soon as you switch on me, the only thing that's gonna happen, I'm like, Drummer, come here, set that pick, and I'm gonna get him right back on.
Like, all right.
Okay.
You think you gonna? All right.
Again, I like
he
it.
He really saying you some shit, Johnny.
Nah, it ain't nothing against him. It's just I know me.
I hear this.
It's just I know me.
I hear
Hey,
it.
but Johnny, we also gonna have to go to the Y, and I gotta actually see what your skill set like. So I gotta see what I gotta see. I'm gonna be honest.
See, he a little nervous.
I ain't nervous.
You see how he moved?
I ain't even worried about it.
He done turned into Michael Jackson. Stop moonwalking.
Before the end of the month.
All right, so we got 2 weeks.
Yep.
What's the day? The 15th?
I like it.
We got
today
2 weeks.
15th.
We got 2 weeks.
That ain't
I
nothing.
love it.
Yeah, man, we gonna promote this about to be the thing.
Nice.
Let's do it. Man.
Backstage versus To Be Fair. Let's go.
Let's go.
And I think this does go. Well, I'm gonna promote an upcoming episode that's eventually going to happen. We ain't even got it lined up, but I do think that there is a podcast that I do want to have where we sit and have a conversation with a panel of basketball dads, fathers that are engaged inside that. Where I think that is the very specific community of people and a brotherhood, even in itself. And this could be like, truthfully, we could expand it to like sports dads, because I think like even inside that there's a certain level of hyperactivity, hyper expression, like balancing a whole bunch of different dynamics that's to be had that I think will be really, really healthy, especially inside current day time where, again, youth sports is a $1 billion industry.
Yeah,
it's not even $1 million anymore. It's a $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
And from the richest to the poorest, everybody's jumping into this whole little thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's so many different pieces to the pie that even me on like the entry point to where I'm at now, it was like a whole fucking schooling of learning the whole game. Like even learning AAU is its own thing. Yeah. And let
me know when you want to set that up. Like I said, I call my brother Dewan, And
Yeah, no,
I
I know
call
one for
Mo and Anthony Monroe and some other people. You know, I try to get y'all some. See if I can get Vern Maxwell. You know who Vern?
Yeah, I know Vern. He
Yeah, I
over
try
at
to.
North Met.
Yeah, I try. Yeah, his son over there cooking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
try
yeah.
to get some of them
Dropped
people over there
27
for you.
last night.
Yeah, I try to get some of them people for you.
Nah, for sure. All right, Johnny, what you got for us?
Oh no, I've been, I think that's a good place to. I think the conversation then evolved to who asked you anyway. Then went left. We didn't gotta. We gonna have to whoop some ass in some basketball. 'Cause brother talking, but
Like,
His
I
name
think.
Johnny P. I'm gonna show you how we push P.
Hey,
uh-oh.
he
How we
talking all
pushing
this.
P.
He doing all this talking. That's cool. That's cool. I appreciate it
Oh
too.
yeah, man.
I
It's all
appreciate
love,
it too.
man.
I ain't even tripping,
We just talking,
cause
man.
that's the motivation I need. But I definitely,
2 weeks ain't enough for you though, man.
it ain't nothing
I
for me,
love it.
bro. It ain't nothing. But like I said, I think it was a good show.
Yes,
We
sir.
definitely done touched a lot of topics. We done, the conversation. We done unpacked a lot. I will say follow the To Be Fair Show
For sure.
on Facebook. Follow the To Be Fair Show on Instagram and the To Be Fair Show on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe below. I am your host, Johnny P.
Ole Head Rell.
It's Q.
And we out.